Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. People said 2020 was going to be a memorable year. Systemic racism and injustice has made us all gather here. If we had the power, we'd make it all disappear. In the meantime, let me speak truth in your ears. We were thrusted into a pandemic after altering the nation's academics. Black Lives Matter. We're not being melodramatic. It's time for us all to reflect and be pragmatic. Hundreds of years of racism is systemic. It's causing injustice, conflicts, and static, yet some people's racial principles remain pragmatic. Let me be emphatic when I say I'm praying for all of our humanity. Many have forgotten about their Christianity. The nonstop violence has become insanity, hurting and destroying the American family. Some people say they are simply colorblind, stating since slavery, racism is at a decline. Yet, I'm inclined to ask all of mankind why people of color are still mistreated. It boggles my mind. The racial divide has many being unkind. Now let's rewind to the actions of the past week. Protesters during a pandemic's lowest peak, demanding justice, took to the streets. As we watched the news at the edge of our seats, callous looters causing chaos in heaps, innocent protesters, reporters, and good cops being beat, our nation is in crisis, in dire need of a retreat. Love of all races is what America seeks. Fellow educators tiptoe around topics that might be insensitive. In classroom, teaching slavery and harsh history is not extensive. Remembering the past to educate is now deemed offensive. No wonder having discussions about race makes people defensive. My white friends and colleagues, behind silence, you can't hide. You must take action, and your white privilege can't be denied. That right there is why sentiments seem to collide. Ignorance and racial bias are too often implied. We now have ethnicities feeling forced to pick a side, sadly clinging so badly to their ethnic pride. Guess what? It's bullshit when we live in a racial divide. Stop the violence. How many more of us have to die? America needs to throw racism to the curbside. Let's look deep down inside our hearts before our divided nation tear us all apart.